Good day everyone. In this video presentation for Principle of Islamic Economics, our group will present our project title, An Analysis of Consumption in Islamic Economics. Our main objective is to look closely at how Islam guides our daily spending and buying habits. We will explain the basic introduction, how goods are defined in both systems, and the core rules of consumption. Let's get started. My name is Aliatul Ayumi Binti Azman and my student ID is 2024-872838.
My name is Sharifah Nasira Binti Said Nazri. My matric number is 2024819304.
My name is Shahidatul Husna Binti Birkabsid. My student ID is 2024452122.
My name is Siti Nur Aisha Binti Ashad and my student ID is 2024866972.
Good day to our lecturer and my friends. My name is Ayuni. Today I will start our group presentation. I will explain the basic ideas of Islamic economics and how it defines goods compared to conventional economics. In conventional economics, human behavior is seen as homo economicus. This means people are viewed as rational actors who only care about self-interest and maximizing their own satisfaction. Islamic economics strongly rejects this purely materialistic view. Instead, it connects material needs with spiritual and moral growth. In Islam, economic activities are not just mathematical formulas. They are a direct part of our complete way of life, which is our deen. Islamic economics combines economics, sociology, law, and theology. Our textbook defines it as a social science that studies humanity's economic problems using the Islamic worldview, human reason, and experience. Let us look at 4 important scholars. Hasanuzzaman says Islamic economics use Sharia rules to protect people and stop injustice in the market. Umar Kapra focuses on human being or falah. He argues that moral rules must guide the market so that poor and vulnerable people are not left behind. Najatullah Siddiqui views it as a way for Muslim thinkers to solve the economic problems of their time using the Al-Quran, Sunnah, and reason. Finally, Anas Sarka explains that these Sharia-guided economic rules apply to all human behavior for both Muslims and non-Muslims around the world. Next, how goods are defined in Islamic economics. In Islam, an item is not an economic goods just because it has a price or because someone wants it. It must be mal, meaning property, but it must pass a moral filter. To be a true good, it must be mutakawim, which means lawfully usable under Sharia, and it must be tayyib, meaning pure and wholesome. If an item harms our mind, body or soul, it is haram and cannot be called a good. Therefore, a good must meet 3 simple rules. Legal permissibility, it must be al-tayyibats like healthy food and clean clothes, and cannot be forbidden things like alcohol, gambling, which is maisir, and interest, which is riba. Moral responsibility, akhlaqiyah, a halal product becomes unacceptable if it is produced through exploitation, illegal hoarding, or destroying nature. Stewardship, khilafah, God owns everything and humans are just trustees. Therefore, we must use goods with moderation, avoiding extravagance and waste. Definition of goods in conventional economics. This system completely separates economics from moral or spiritual views. It says economics is value-free. A good is simply any physical products or service that can satisfy a human want. This system used 2 main ideas. Firstly, utility maximization. It assumes humans are rational. If a customer gets satisfaction from buying cigarettes, gambling tickets, or unfair loans, the system views them as valid economic goods because people are willing to pay for them. Second, absolute scarcity. It believes that resources are limited but human desire are endless. Therefore, goods go to whoever has the most money. The market produces whatever rich buyers want, even if those products harm society. In conclusion, conventional economics views goods naturally just to satisfy endless human desire using the price market. On the other hand, Islamic economics links good to divine accountability to bring true success and well-being to everyone.
Ruriyat is the highest level of maqasid al-Sharia. These are essential needs that must be protected for people to live safely and peacefully. They include the protection of religions, life, intellect, lineage, and property. For example, Islam prohibits murder to protect life, bans alcohol to protect the intellect, and prohibits theft to protect property. Without these essentials, society would face seriously problems and instability. Next, Hajiyat. Hajiyat refer to complementary needs that make life easier. They are not essential for survival, but they remove hardship. For example, travelers are allowed to shorten their prayers, and Sikh Muslims may postpone fasting during Ramadan. These rulings show that Islam is practical and flexible while still preserving religious obligations. Lastly, Tasniyat focus on moral excellence and good character. It encourages Muslims to practice honest, cleanness, kindness, and modesty. Although these practices are not essential for survival, they improve personal character and create a better society. This pyramid explains the priority of Maqasid al-Shari'ah. Duriyat is the foundation because it protects essential human needs. Hajiyat comes next by reducing hardship and making life easier. Tahsiniyat is at the top because it focuses on moral excellence and improving the quality of life. Together, these three levels ensure balance and well-being in Islam.
Next, I will continue with discussion question 3, which asks whether saving is necessary or whether all wealth should be spent. Based on the Islamic perspective, the answer is yes. Saving is necessary. However, Islam does not encourage us to save everything or spend everything. Instead, Islam teaches us to manage our wealth in a balanced way. Why is saving important? Firstly, it provides financial security. We never know what will happen in the future. For example, we may face illness, lose our job, or experience an emergency. Having savings helps us manage these situations without depending on other people. This is why the Prophet Muhammad SAW reminded Muslims to take care of those under their responsibility first. Secondly, savings also help us prepare for future responsibilities such as paying for education, healthcare, marriage, or even buying a house. Without proper financial planning, we may have to rely heavily on debt. At the same time, Islam reminds us not to spend our wealth carelessly. Allah warns against wasteful spending in Surah Al-Isra, verse 27. However, Islam also does not encourage hoarding wealth. Instead, wealth should continue to circulate through investment, zakat, and sadaqah so that it benefits both individuals and society. So, the main message here is that Islam promotes balanced financial management between spending, saving, and charity. Now, let's move on to the next discussion question. The question is whether we should prioritize spending on ourselves or on charity. Many people assume that Islam always tells us to give charity first. However, this is not entirely correct. Islam actually teaches that our first responsibility is to fulfill our own basic needs and the needs of our family, such as food, shelter, healthcare, and education. This is clearly mentioned in a hadith where the Prophet Muhammad SAW instructed Muslims to begin with themselves and the members of their household. After these responsibilities have been fulfilled, any surplus wealth can then be used for charity. This is also supported by Surah Al-Baqarah, verse 219, which tells us to spend from what is beyond our needs. However, this does not mean that charity is less important. Charity remains a fundamental part of Islamic economics because it reduces poverty, strengthens social solidarity, and allows wealth to circulate within society. Therefore, the Islamic approach is not to choose between personal welfare and charity. Instead, Islam encourages us to fulfill our responsibilities first and then contribute to society through charity and savings.
Okay, next, let's look at the full comparison table of consumer behavior between these two systems. Okay, in short, if we look at it from the aspect of goal and rationally, the conventional system focus on maximum utility for personal stratification, while the Islamic system set the target to achieve falah and maslahah. Okay, next, from the point of view of spending constraint, conventional consumers are only restricted by budget, but Muslim consumer are filtered by Sharia guideline. Okay, for the example like halal and haram and the prohibit of waste. Okay, next for the final, in the term of property, ownership and social responsibility. Okay, conventional recognize individual right absolutely and see charitable contribution as a personal choice. Okay, next on the other hand, Islamic economy implies that property is trust of God, where the distribution of wealth through zakat and sedekah. It's also an obligatory requirement of worship. This ultimately from a major difference in view, where conventional see the consumer as a autonomized agent, while Islam see them as a responsible trust. Okay, in conclusion to our presentation, we can see that Islamic economy offer an approach that integrate material and spiritual aspect holistically. Okay, in contrast to conventional economic that often spread ethical value from market decision, Islamic economy organize our spending and consumption pattern under the guidance of Sharia, namely Maqasid al-Sharia. Throughout this framework, spending priority are organized according to a hierarchy of need, daruriyat, hajiyat, and tahsiniyat, as well as the principle of halal and tayyib goods to ensure the social justice on society. Okay. Furthermore, this system changes the perception of ourselves. We also no longer free an economic agent greedily praising personal stratification, but rather we shoulder a moral trust as Khulafa trusted on this earth. Okay, this a way to Muslim to drive what a Muslim always balance to their own needs on the welfare of society through instrument such as zakat and also sedekah. Finally, the main goal of the Islamic economic is not just like simple to maximum the word profit, but it's also to achieve well-being the both real, name happiness in this world and true security in the hereafter. Okay, so that's all from our presentation and thank you.